on TV, working, advising people. So should I start again?
Sure, ma'am. You can start from the starting.
Okay. So again, I will start. Sorry about it, Harmeet.
No problem, ma'am.
Harmeet is, welcome, Harmit Chawla.
Thank you, ma'am, once again.
He is real estate. Yeah. So just hold on a minute. So sorry about it. Sorry, a little disturbance was there. So Mr. Harmit Chawla, he is real estate. He was working in real estate corporate Honcho, who has been one of the biggest company. He has achieved a success at very young age, and he had made a mark in real estate. And of course, he comes on TV constantly. He has been called. He has been having a debate on real estate and his vision on future and on burning topic out here on real estate and other subjects like politics, like ammunition. He's all rounder and he can talk on anything that is, the real in thing in the politics or world issues or any burning topic in the world. And he talks to youth also in colleges, and he really motivates them, guide them, and inspire them. So he is also Fitbit. He's a regular gym. He is really keep himself fit by going to gym, and he's training there also and giving them giving young people, old people an inspiration to keep themselves fit. That is also his niche in this at this age also. His mantra is get inspired, but don't emulate, make your own path. So over to Mr. Harmit Chawla. He will talk about the future of real estate in India. So thank you and welcome on board, Mr. Harmit Chawla. On you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good morning to everybody on the forum. And an extreme thank you to Nupur ma'am and Alicia and Shabnam ji for extending the courtesy and this thing to have me on the platform to talk about a subject which is very dear to my heart, something that I've been doing for a little more than 2 decades. And thank you again, Nupur ma'am, for the lovely introduction that you put across. It humbles me, and I thank you once again. And going straight off. And I welcome all who are on the platform, and I hope I make it meaningful over the next half an hour that I'm going to talk about it. And if there is anything anyone wants to put it across, I'll feel free to answer those questions. As the topic for the day is the future of real estate, and I always start that the future of anything is dependent on what the present hold, and the present is where your past has brought you, where you are. Over the last more than 2 decades that I've been in the business, and I have seen the entire landscape of real estate across India, even in the foreign countries. I can very safely say that people are extremely enamored. It's one of the most sought after areas of investment. People hold real estate extremely dear to their well-being, and the way I've seen the landscape change, I've seen the mental makeup change in real estate over the last 20 years has been very profound. Before I hit the part how I see the future of real estate, let me also tell you that I've been at the level of advocating a lot of transparency and the way the business needs to be kind of run. One at the corporate level, The other part was how real estate is actually made in India, how it is planned. Uh, so what happens is, when you look at cities, you look at real estate, everything that you see, whether it's inside road, it's a hotel, it's a mall or a house, everything is real estate. Everything which has brick and mortar on the land becomes part of real estate. People tend to very generalize it as houses and offices, but everything is real estate. And without that, there is no growth. So human growth happens only with the development of real estate in different forms, whether it's sports, whether it's we type that cost into infrastructure and real estate. But yes, it's all in a very generic form is real estate. If I look at how real estate has kind of been done in India, I've always said that uh, the way that India has been planned out for decades and decades has been extremely haphazard. There has been no planning, so we look at isolated, you know, developments. We look at luxury development, we look at middle class development, we look at lower housing, we look at shops. But there is no aesthetics or any logic or scientific logic given prior to putting these real estate developments. So, it's just that land has been master planned, and then roads can be taken out from a certain area, or a sewage system can be taken out, and then all of a sudden development happens. And everyone gets into that bandwagon of buying and selling real estate and developing it. But by the time that you get into the whole act, 4, 5, 6 years down the road, you realize there's traffic problem, there is problem of sewage, there is problem of water logging, and that is the part where I mentioned that real estate is not just we buy, we sell, we make money, which is very nice. We buy something for one rupee, we sell it for 3 rupees, and we're very happy because we made money somewhere. We lose money, but fact of the matter is, we like our houses, we like our offices, but we don't like anything outside the moment we step out. So that's also a part of infrastructure, which I've been advocating for the last 15 years, that don't make haphazard developments. The quality of lifestyle is not just dependent on where you how the house that you're living, but it is also the entire environment, the radius diameter around that entire project, which is very important. We waste uh, 2, 3 hours every day commuting from, especially when you look at Delhi. Sometimes it takes an hour and a half just to travel 10, 11 kilometers, and that's a sheer wastage of time, human resource, and our energy. And that is because of unproductive and wrong planning. So one is that part, which actually boils down to the part of where uh, the bureaucracy, the people in the government, the policymakers have to kind of think about, how things work. But the fundamentals have been always been about money. So they put the problem is the policymakers put money, because the lobby is totally driven by. Uh, Needless to say, obviously, I'm part of that business, but it's driven by the fact that how much money we can make, rather than how efficient our cities and how efficient our colonies can be, made. Uh, One is that. Secondly, to add to that problem, and why I'm taking you to this is to take you to where the future of real estate is. The other part of that problem in the policy is also the fact that we keep adding density to our cities. So, we don't talk about decentralizing our cities. हम बात करते हैं कि अब दिल्ली में अगर 2.5 करोड़ लोग रह रहे हैं, तो दिल्ली को कैसे इम्प्रूव करें कि इसमें 1 करोड़ और लोग रहने लग जाए, विच इज अ वेरी रॉन्ग एटीट्यूड, बिकॉज हमने ये देखना है कि हमारी इकोनॉमी कंट्री की कैसे डिसेंट्रलाइज हो जाए कि लोग दिल्ली या बैंगलोर आना ही बंद कर दें, और वो जहां पर वेर एवर दे आर स्टेइंग, दे आर मेकिंग एनफ adequate income or a reasonable lifestyle for them not to even come to these cities. Not that you shouldn't, but it should not be. It should be out of choice, not as a compulsion. So a lot of people move to the metros not out of choice, but because of compulsion. They don't want to leave their hometowns, but they don't have the option to kind of grow economically, so they have to go there, and that puts a lot of pressure. And you cannot account for the planning and movement of real estate from that perspective. So that's one part. The second part is The fact that the economic boom happened, people made a lot of money, and that went into real estate. And real estate in India from the times of Ramayana and Mahabharata is something very close to the Indian psyche. uh, we're not happy buying one house or two houses or three houses. जितने ज्यादा घर आ जाए या जितनी ज्यादा चीजें आ जाएं उतना लोगों को ज्यादा खुशी मिलती है, because they feel that real estate is one, because the fact is it's an asset which is real. So like gold, everything else is when you pick up equity, stock markets and all, it's obviously a part of a gambling thing. You use your brains, you put your money, but when it comes to real estate, there is a hardcore asset that you can see, and people want to hold on to that because that's a safety net for people uh, for the longest. And wars have happened because of those safety nets, needless to say. Uh, so the boom in real estate over the last 15 years happened because people, obviously the per capita income moved, people made a lot of money, and people invested a lot of money. And today, the prosperity that we see in India is to a large extent not only the fact that people have made money in businesses and they're doing well in their employment, is the fact they also made a lot of money in selling and trading of real estate. So what ideally they would have made in their lifetime just in a job or a business, they made maybe 3 to 4x more money just by investing in real estate. Third part, which I want to cover, is basically I'm going to quickly touch upon, is the fact that you have the developer lobby, or the people who develop this real estate. Now, if you needless to see, you will see that the biggest problem why real estate got a bad name and in India, and it's still somewhere, while it's one of the biggest generators of money to the government, to the economy. The fact is, by and large, public tends to see the developer or the real estate lobby with a very, very, with absolutely no regard for them. Let us be very honest about it. And as somebody who's been at the developer side myself, uh, I have uh, been at the forefront trying to cleanse the act, make it more, make the products, make the working of the company more transparent, open up your ideas to the people, because when you're making real estate projects, and I always say that when you go out to sell a SIM card, people make a lot of due diligence कि 5 घंटे में फोन ऑन होगा कि नहीं, ये ऐसा होगा कि नहीं, इसमें वाईफाई आएगा कि नहीं. But when people go out to buy a 1 crore house, they don't do due diligence, which is very funny in India. Uh, and lakhs of people have lost their money with big companies because the developers have been wrong. Somewhere they've been absolutely cheats. In many cases, uh, they were not cheats, but they just didn't know how to run the business, and they got greedy. So they grew too fast, too early, and uh, there is a very simple thing in corporate life or otherwise: when you grow too fast, that's also not too good, because you're not keeping pace with your ecosystem supporting you. So that's where it is. Now, if we look at real estate in today's presence, because of COVID, or let me put it across, real estate in India started going down from about 2013, and it became really bad post demonetization. And things moved, but was became very slow, and that added to the problem, to the fact that the developers had their own miseries that they created in the market. Uh, when COVID came, the market was hit even worse. But the funny thing is that over the last 11 months, real estate has really picked up and started to do well. Uh, and I get a lot of questions that this is a situation where ideally, where the economy is in stress, global economies are stressed, inflation levels are high, the interest rates are going up. How is it that the real estate is doing well? Contrary to the fact when things was relatively far more stable, uh, uh, the market wasn't doing very well. So there is a a very huge dichotomy to the whole narrative. Uh, the the beauty is, uh, most of the people in the market, whether you look at the consultants, you look at brokers, or you look at the large companies who come out with reports, they will say, okay, so many houses sold, so much so done, so much so done, so much so done. But they will not be analyzing why that real estate is selling or why that real estate is actually not selling. That's very important, specifically for me, because as a businessman, I need to understand if there is a certain fundamental in the market, why. I need to understand the why of it, not just what is happening. I want to go to the root cause of it. Because if you're going to deploy money in the market, you're going to get into business. Your strategies can be wrong if you don't get into the actual why. And the why that I figured out over the last 1 year, the reason that real estate has picked up is not so much so that the economy is doing very well. It's to do with the fact that, uh, and it's a controversial statement that I'm making, but it's a fact, is that there is still a lot of cash in the Indian economy. While we thought post demonetization the cash would be out, flushed out, but no. Going by the government's own reports, the cash factor in the economy has gone up. Now, what has happened is for the longest between 2016 to the COVID time, that cash was not getting deployed in the economy. Cash in the Indian ecosystem, the best place to deploy that even today, uh, is the real estate part, because you can buy, there is still a huge difference between the government rate and the market rate. And that part is still, it's very difficult to solve it. And a lot of the people started buying a lot of land over the last 1 year. One, because they also realized that there was, during the lockdown and everything, people were stuck in these houses, which were maybe a 1,500 square foot apartment, and they had to also operate out of their house for work from home. So they started buying bigger houses because there was a trend that was being put in that, work from home is now a factor which will continue as a hybrid model of working. Something I did not agree with, because human beings like to socialize, and they cannot be sitting at home where their private and their professional life is intermerged. So, where I have turned out to be right now, the offices and the companies are saying, listen, people need to come back to offices. So, we will probably certain non-critical functions where we don't need people to come to office can continue to work from an off location, but rest of the staff needs to come back to the office. So that initial part and a lot of push in the market propelled people to actually upgrade the size of their houses, especially in the metro areas. Uh, it also propelled a lot of people to start buying houses in the mountains or towards the areas like Goa, where ideally these places were seen as just purely vacation homes. But people said, no, if God forbid something again happens tomorrow, it's easier for us to leave the hustle and bustle and the density of the cities and run into the mountains or run by the ocean and live there, so that we feel safer or there is less crowd around us. So that also pushed a lot of real estate into the market, and people started buying. Coming to the point that I was mentioning on the cash part, people realize that they don't have too much of white money to pull in, and buying land and these things can uh, uh, you can settle a lot of your cash. So the land prices, if any of you are in the real estate market, as compared to the uh, prices of flats, the cost of land has drastically gone up over the last 1 year. So something which was, let's say, for 1 crore for a piece of land is now sitting at 2.5 crores, which idly defies any logic uh, for why there should be a huge surge in price of land from 1 crore to 2.5 crores. The fact of the matter is, uh, people just want to buy and settle their cash. They want to also secure their money in asset. Uh, because लोगों को डर भी है कि भाई कैश है, कल को पकड़ा ना जाए, ये ना हो जाए. But obviously, जो मैं ये बात आपको बोल रहा हूँ, this is not substantiated and cannot be substantiated on the papers, because that is my take in the market, uh, how the deals are done. So, and I'm being, as Nupur ma'am knows, I'm just about quite honest about the fact, because there is no point running away from that fact, but that's how the market works. So to say नहीं कि सब white में होता है वो गलत होगा, तो वो कैश है. तो ये तो मैंने आपको एक सिनॉप्सिस दे दिया कि कहाँ था, कैसे चल रहा था, क्या सिचुएशन थी. एंड लॉट ऑफ पीपल लॉस्ट फेथ इन रियल एस्टेट, अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल लॉस्ट फेथ इन द डेवलपर्स, बिकॉज द टॉप गाइज इन द मार्केट, some companies went bust, some companies went into NCLT, a lot of companies went into NCLT, big companies also went into liquidation. uh, Unfortunately, if you pick up areas like Noida, and you pick up areas, Greater Noida, there are lakhs and lakhs of people who still haven't got their house for the last 12, 15 years. Uh, उनका आज भी कोई अता पता नहीं है. And this was not some fly-by-night operators. These were companies who are big. Uh, I wouldn't want to name them. I mean, everybody is aware. So they went bust. Even if and people who are out there, investors and all, they think real estate is a very easy business. Just because you have money, you can get it and you can do it. No, real estate, like any other business, requires a lot of competency. The easier part is to actually buy land. The most difficult part is to actually run a company on it. So when you get into making a project and running the project, managing maybe 500,000 customers, managing the bank, managing the EMIs, managing the home loans, that's a business process which requires a lot of bandwidth. It requires a lot of fortitude to look at 7 years, 8 years ahead and then work backward. Unfortunately, a lot of these companies, just because there was a boom and they were able to access a lot of money, they thought that क्या है, जमीन खरीदनी है, बिल्डिंग बनाना और काम खत्म हो जाएगा. एंड रियल एस्टेट में लैंड की वैल्यू है या बने हुए घर की वैल्यू होती है. अगर आप उस पर ईंट खड़ा कर दो और उसको कंप्लीट ना करो, ना तो जमीन की वैल्यू रहेगी और ना बने हुए माल की वैल्यू होती है. सो आई ऑलवेज से आइदर डोंट टच द लैंड, लेट इट बी. आप खेती कर सकते हो, या तो पूरी चीज बनाइए. बीच की चीज की कोई वैल्यू नहीं है. इट्स जस्ट you're actually demonetizing the whole asset. Going forward from here, 2023, how I look at real estate in the future is, and how I want it to be. One is how I feel it will be, and how I pray that it should be, is to start again, as I said, decluttering our cities. Is decluttering our cities. I personally feel going 6, 7, 8, 9 months down the road now, we are going to see a movement of slowness in the market now, which has already started to happen because the prices of real estate have already peaked to a point which ideally should have peaked 4, 5 years from now. So, for example, if a 500 square yard plot was for about, let's say, 60,000 rupees a square meter, today it is sitting at 1.5 lakh, maybe even 1,70,000 rupees square meter. Now, that's if you go out to sell that plot tomorrow. Sorry. So if you go out to sell that, you're not going to get that site. Somebody wants to come in? Sorry. So, so I see slowness in the market. Slowness doesn't mean that the real estate market is dead. Real estate is always going to be transacted. There are always people who have needs, people who have demand, who want to upgrade in whatever fashion something sells. So there is always going to be an interplay of demand and supply. The question is, what is the quantity of demand and supply? What is the volume of demand and supply? What happens? So I do see a slowness coming in. Again, within India, people in Chennai or people in Bangalore behave very differently to people in North India. So when I make when I say something in terms of real estate, these are also very regional and location specific. So you might have a Gurgaon slowing down. You might have somewhere in Chennai slowing down, but then it was also dependent on how Tamil Nadu is doing as an economy, how are people uh, doing well in jobs. So there might be slowness in a certain section or certain industries or certain areas in India which will impact the local real estate. But correspondingly, something might be doing very well in Goa tomorrow. So, uh, the price difference or the fact that people already have two houses in Delhi, one in Bombay, and say, listen, we want to buy something in Goa. So the Goa market might do well, or the the market in the mountains might be doing well. So even in the worst times, there is always going to be those micro, small, little markets which are doing very well, and you will have your customers in that. But yes, as a general thumb rule, we are getting into a situation where the interest rates are going up. You're sitting at interest rates on your home loans, which are now upward of 8.95% up to 9.5%, which is going back to the 2005, 6 era of high, interest rates. That will impact, and obviously, uh, how the economy plays out, how are the headwinds in the global economy coming and going to hit India or the globe. All those factors have their play. So this is my assessment from purely from the market perspective. But coming to the part of real estate also in terms of just the development, I would uh, the problem is, you know, uh, the government came out with a very nice push on the Awas Yojana, on the affordable housing. But the problem is today when you go out into cities, you pick up example like a Gurgaon or anywhere, you have these high rises worth about 8 crores, and just behind those 8 crore houses, you're making houses worth 30 lakhs, 35 lakhs. And I always believe in an Indian ecosystem, you cannot have a development where uh, you intermix people from different strata financially in one place. It's not the right thing to do. If you see real estate anywhere, I mean, this is the practicality of human psyche. So you do developments, in India, the funny thing is, you put the industries at the border, and then you start making, uh, huge expensive metros going up to those, and waste taxpayers money. Or rather than making the workers house behind those factories, you give them houses in the city, and those poor guys are then going 2 hours to their factories. So as I said, my first point, the real estate development infrastructure laying is absolutely without any head or tail. And it has always been seen that if I am living in a 30 lakh house, then I'm in a certain area. If I want to upgrade myself and I want to go to a higher level of income, then I move from one colony to another colony, and then to another colony to another colony. You cannot have, uh, that's part of the human Maslow theory of aspiration. You want to go up and up and up. But what has happened is today, somebody who owns a 250 crore mansion, उसके घर के पीछे ही अब आप आवास योजना निकाल रहे हो, तो उससे सोशल अनरेस्ट भी फैलता है, बिकॉज और ये साइकोलॉजिकल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से मैं कह रहा हूँ, not from a discriminatory point of view. So there is no discrimination point of view. I'm not soliciting that point over here. I'm simply saying, if you're going to have the lower income group of people staying very close to the higher income group, it's not right for society. There has been an aspiration कि हाँ, मैं अगर बड़ा करूंगा तो मैं वहां जाके रह सकता हूँ, अगर वो मेरे घर के बिल्कुल सामने रहने लग जाए, तो मैं बिना कुछ कमाए, बिना अपने आए, मैं उसको सारा दिन देखता रहूंगा. एंड दीज थिंग्स देन कॉज सोशल अनरेस्ट, दीज थिंग्स कॉज थेफ्ट, दीज थिंग्स कॉज रॉबरी. These and this is also something which is already plaguing our society, and the fact this happens, we tend to see that the theft and all, but the fact of the matter is, हमारी जितनी अमीरों की कॉलोनी होती है, उसके साथ आप बिल्कुल अगर गांव को बसा दोगे या आप स्लम एरिया को डाल दोगे, तो ये सोशल अनरेस्ट की चांसेस बढ़नी ही बढ़नी है. सो the city planning has to be done. uh, the slums cannot be put in there. पहली बात तो slums होने चाहिए, and they should be redeveloped. And one of the points that I've raised on many forums is, it's an apathy on the part of our policy makers, as citizens, that when we go to the zoo, we give 2,000 square meter plot to monkeys in a zoo. But when it comes to human beings, हम उनको 30 स्क्वायर मीटर के प्लॉटों पे घर बना बना के देते हैं, और वो भी 4 मंजिला. मतलब we have come to a situation on earth where the poorest of the poor are living in on a piece of land which is 1/10 the size of where a monkey is living in a zoo. So I feel that is bad. It is just horrible to put somebody in a 30 meter. मतलब हम लोग आप सोचो 25 मीटर 15 मीटर के घर में, मतलब यू कांट इवन मूव योर एल्बो. इट इज लाइक यू स्टेइंग इन अ जेल. एंड वी गिव ऑल द फैसिलिटीज टू मंकीज एंड चिंपैंजीज इन जूस. तो मतलब उनके लिए बड़े बड़े घर, उनके मतलब कहता हूँ कभी कभी कि प्रॉब्ली चिंपैंजी होना ज्यादा अच्छा है. उनको आप खाना भी मिल रहा है, उनको आपने वाटर बॉडी भी बना के दी हुई है, और जो बेचारा गरीब आदमी है उसके पास कोई सहूलियत ही नहीं है. सो that is my take, Nupur ma'am. I think I'd probably like to kind of uh, close the discussion on this one. And if somebody has any question, pointed question, because if I go anything beyond this, this will become a little more technical, and I don't want to make the sessions very technical in terms of, unless somebody has a technical question to ask me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hamid. You have given a very good overview of from down below lower level of real estate to higher level of real estate. Plus, you have also gave an overview of what will happen in future. So that's very good perception of yours. And I think so most of the people over here, they understand that what he is saying, and it is really apt to say all these things, all the policy making, all the things about the housing, how the housing should be developed, how the estate, real estate or land should be developed, everything should be developed, keeping in view all the different aspects of life support system. So that is very good. And I really thank you for giving us a better outlook towards the real estate, because people don't understand what it is all about. They just say, bas eat patthar rakha, building bana di, and that's it. But there's a lot of it behind the scene also. You have given us a lot of,
I'll just add one more point, which it
yes.
just come as an afterthought, and I'm sorry. In one of the sessions where I was a speaker in ASSOCHAM way back 7-8 years back, I had mentioned, and this is very pertinent because it's just not there, it's for everyone. For the last 10-12 years, we've been buying a lot of houses, and the developers, and I said, I am on the development side. And जब आप प्रोजेक्ट लेते हो तो उसमें नीचे लिखा होता था आपको जॉगिंग ट्रैक देंगे, आपको वॉकिंग
Yes.
ट्रैक देंगे. एंड I made a point in farm that time. I think the UPA Sarkar was there, and I said, we've come to a point where God has given us 2 legs, and we are paying 14 lakhs or 10 lakhs to a developer to give us the walking track. मतलब हमें आज पैदल चलने के लिए ही पैसा देना पड़ रहा है. तो मैंने बोला इससे ज्यादा बदकिस्मती क्या हो सकती है कि हमको जो ट्रैक्स चलने के लिए रोड के साथ पेमेंट पे मिलने चाहिए थे या सहूलियतें मिलनी चाहिए, वो हम वहां कर नहीं पा रहे. तो हम जिस घर में रह रहे हैं सोसाइटी में, वो डेवलपर घर बना रहा है, और वो आपको सेलिंग पॉइंट कह रहा है कि मैं आपको वॉकिंग ट्रैक दूंगा. एंड पीपल आर वेरी हैप्पी कि देखो इसमें वॉकिंग ट्रैक है, एंड दे ओके विद इट. एंड आई एम सेइंग एज अ रियल एस्टेट पर्सन, यू शुड नॉट बी ओके विद इट, है ना. और आप सिर्फ घर बना रहे हो, सिर्फ मॉल्स बना रहे हो, आपके हमारे बच्चों के लिए कोई और एरिया नहीं है, कोई गार्डन्स नहीं है जहाँ वो पिकनिक के लिए निकल सकते हैं. नियरेस्ट कोई गार्डन एक बना होगा तो वो 20 किलोमीटर दूर है. आपके घर के आसपास या आपके एरिया के लिए कुछ नहीं है. आपके कोई टाउन हाउस नहीं है जहाँ आपकी कोई कल्चरल एक्टिविटी हो सकती है. अगर हो सकती है तो वो नेहरू जी के टाइम की अगर कोई बनी हुई होंगी, या गांधी जी के टाइम की कोई बनी हुई है, तो आप वो चले जाओ. वो या ब्रिटिश के टाइम की कोई म्यूजियम्स बने हुए हैं, आप कोई म्यूजियम्स नहीं बना रहे, आप कोई हेरिटेज एरिया नहीं बना रहे, आप कोई लाइब्रेरीज नहीं बना रहे. तो और ये मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूँ बिकॉज द वेस्टर्न सोसाइटी इवन टुडे puts a lot of money into making their cities and towns, uh, and the towns cannot just be dukane, office, and ghar. It has to be about engagement of the people. आज हम लोग घर आते हैं, घर के बाद ऑप्शन ही क्या है? सिर्फ मॉल चले जाओ या थिएटर, उसी में वो ही एक जिंदगी रहेगी. दैट इज नॉट लाइफ. सो public have to get up for their own well-being, for their own, if you're not going to give these areas, how you can't propagate culture through television and digital media. एक हर चीज का एक, हम लोग आज भी कहते हैं ना कि मीटिंग हम जब, and I think you would probably better understand it, that if we meet somebody in person, there is a certain exchange of energy and aura, rather than digitally. So for us to have something which is captivating and great for us beyond our house and our work, we need to step out of our house. We need to go and see a play. We probably need to see a musical, this thing, tell our kids to go and read a book, which is a community. They will intermingle with more people. But वो सारी चीजें collapse कर रही हैं. In fact, Western society is going back to that. And that is also part of some critical thinking that we need to do in how the real estate needs to be done for the future. That's it, ma'am.
That's great. Here I would say one more thing, that nowadays in some state, of course, they are taking a stand that they should have, once they develop a property, they should have some park area just next to it, or
Yes.
some sports facilities next to it. They have made it very compulsory. So your point that there is no garden or anything, there is now people are, I mean, government is
Starting to
taking
think. At
initiative.
least the momentum is happening. Yeah.
Yes. So that is there. So I feel that things are changing a little bit, but
Yeah.
in a smaller note, and
Yeah.
different states are taking their own steps. But
Yeah.
yes, there have to be a massive change in the thinking of the people also, that they should go for the housing complex where something like park or some recreation or something should be there. So
Absolutely.
then the cost of housing will come down. So that is
It
also
has.
there. I think, yeah.
Absolutely.
And this is my opinion. I feel somebody want to share something. Mr. Samir, could you unmute yourself, and you would like to say something? We have, yeah, Mr. Samir, please.
Yeah, hi. Sorry. Thanks a lot, first of all, for such a lively insights. Only
Well,
thing
sir.
is, like the example you gave of the monkeys and the chimps, I had a little reservation on that. Because we as human beings have taken over their area, and that's why we have the monkey menace, because we have taken the forest area. It is, if the
Absolutely.
human beings are not able to control their population, it's not their fault. है ना? So
No, I'm all for the monkeys. I'm all the monkeys. In fact, I'm happy that you said that,
that's
because
fine.
that kind of
And
that's
we,
like
अगर
that
हम अपनी
seconds my
population नहीं control है,
second.
we deserve it. We deserve it to be
We
like
deserve
this.
it.
मतलब,
Yes,
we
I fully
deserve it.
agree.
That's
I
all.
fully
That's all I
agree,
want
and
to say.
that is that, just going by what you said, and I'm very happy you raised that point, and
Yeah.
that kind of seconds the point that I've been saying, that the development that we've been doing as a society, is so ruthless and haphazard without any sense, that we are not only rogering our future, we're also rogering the ecosystem, uh, and you look at what has happened in Turkey. You look at what's happening in the mountains. Today you go into the mountains,
Yes.
where ideally a mountain cannot take more than 20 families per slope. You have 2,000 people living there. There's no water. This is a calamity that we are bringing on ourselves. And God forbid something happens tomorrow. Who's to
Yeah, I
blame?
don't
You can't even blame
know what will happen in Gurgaon if such a calamity comes in. Like Gurgaon is again one place, it's the kind of.
No, so
That's all.
so with all respects to the monkeys and all, the profoundness of my statement was to bring out the fact that we are very ruthless
I
in
know
our.
why I'm saying is you'll be giving such good lectures in the future also. You can take any other example except maybe animals को दूर रख लो हमारे politics से. That's all I can say.
I agree with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for such
Pleasure.
a wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is all mine.
Anyone else have any question they can share something about the session? Well,
I think,
would like, please, Shabana, please. Yes.
I must say it was very thoughtful session, and I have a question. How can we, in your opinion, how can we better align the policymakers to think about cities in a more holistic manner, as you are thinking? So, what should be the step forward?
The only step forward, Shabana ji, on that is that when you start thinking more about people, you start thinking about society, you start thinking about your own future than just the money. Because the fact is, we become, I'm not against capitalism, I'm a businessman myself, but I always believe there is a line to be drawn between money and just going haphazardly doing everything. So the fact of the matter is the practicality of house planning is uh, it when you draw up a policy, you draw up a master plan of a city or a town or any new area that you're coming out. The sad part is the businessmen are involved in that policy making. It's done to benefit each other, and it's not done to benefit the larger society. Okay, uh, it's everything is about monetizing it and how quickly can they make money off it. People idly in the last 20 years, the cost of land should have not reached anywhere where it has reached today. The Gurgaon houses which are at 7 crores today, idly their intrinsic value for me is not even more than 1.5 crore. क्योंकि or why I'm going the other way to answer your question is the cost of construction of these houses. अगर हम वो 2,000 फुट का भी 3,000 फुट का घर ले लें, the cost of construction at the highest, if I take an average of 15 years, it's not more than 2,500 rupees a square foot, which is about 40 lakhs. Why the hell would you be paying 7 crores for that? So what is inbuilt into that cost is just the inflated cost of land. And the inflated cost of land is because somebody bought that land because he knew कि यहाँ पर ये आएगा, यहाँ पर ये रोड आएगी, यहाँ पर ये आएगा, यहाँ पर ये आएगा. तो अभी कुछ आया नहीं था, वो आने की एंटिसिपेशन में वो 2 रुपए की चीज पहले 50 रुपए कर दी आपने. तो बीच में जो बंदे पॉलिसी वाले थे और जो बिजनेसमैन थे, वो तो बिना कुछ बनाए बिना कुछ करे हवा में ही उसकी पैसा कमा के बाहर निकल गए. और उसके बाद जो दूसरे आए बनाने के लिए, उन्होंने बोला देखो जी कितनी अच्छी जगह है, कितना अच्छा, यहाँ तो लैंड वैल्यू बढ़ गई है, तो अब तो फ्लैट आप 8 करोड़ में खरीदो. लोगों ने खरीदा. ऐसा नहीं कि उन्होंने पैसे नहीं बनाए, वो भी 8 की चीज 12 की हो गई. बट आप अगर मेरे बात को सुनोगे तो उसमें कहीं भी आपको ये नहीं दिखेगा कि वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट the aesthetics of the development. We are only looking at money. कितना पैसा बनेगा, बस कितना पैसा बनेगा. उस पैसे की altar पे we have sacrificed any logic for anything and everything. So till that greed does not go away, there is no answer to the question that you have. And I'm saying it myself ki for me, the logic has to be the quality of development, the quality of my city. And that is the reason as a businessman, if somebody comes and says, listen, यहाँ पर आप 15 एकड़ का बना लो जी, माल बिक जाएगा, ये हो जाएगा. I said something, and I'm different. I don't like doing a project for the heck of just making money. I want to do a project where that project is associated in the future with a certain ethos, a certain culture, a certain mindset, a certain business philosophy, certain thing that I believe. I am not out there to be a philanthropist in business, but I'm not also there out to murder my own conscience and say, listen, I just for the sake of money, I'll do anything. So, at least I have that. Now I can't go out and change the world, and I don't intend to because there is no point. But your question can best be answered when collectively people say, listen, we need to bear a little conscious and a little bit of our own principles in the way we go about doing business, the way we go about developing as a society. But there is absolutely ruthless, unfortunately, there's a lack of empathy to anything and everything around us. So how do you change it? You tell me. There's no way. I mean, I would love to answer that question in a definitive way, but the fact of the matter is there is no way. There is unless and until the government decides tomorrow, नहीं, हम नहीं करेंगे, ऐसे ही करेंगे. हो सकता है government, it has to be a top-down approach. So if either the government becomes stringent or people become conscious of their own responsibility towards society, and
Yeah.
they refuse to indulge the government in a wrong policy.
Yes, and also you mentioned like people should ask certain important questions to builders. So can you elaborate also more on that? So
So see, the point is, in my career, I have sold maybe upward of maybe 20,000 apartments, and I would have people, clients on a given day come to my office and actually say कि हम अगर आपके प्रोजेक्ट में पैसा लगा देते हैं 50 लाख, तो ये एक साल में 70 लाख का हो जाएगा. And my answer was very different to what everyone would say, because the way people would majority sell कि नहीं जी आप आज लगाओ इसमें 50 लाख 1 करोड़ का हो जाएगा, and I would say listen, ये 50 लाख का होगा या 70 का होगा, ये 80 का होगा, ये मैं नहीं जानता. ये आपने डिसाइड करना है. आपके सामने लोकेशन है प्रोजेक्ट की, मेरे प्रोजेक्ट की एस्थेटिक्स है, देयर इज अ मैनरिज्म इन which my company and me are dealing with you. For me, giving you the right product to live is the priority. I am not here to make you money. I am here to give you a right product. So the approach is, if you buy the right product and if you listen into the aesthetics of how it is being given to you, there is no way you're going to go into a wrong product. But if you keep focusing on the fact कि मैं 50 का 1 करोड़ कैसे कर लूंगा, ये वो प्रोजेक्ट है कि नहीं, then you have fundamentally anyway made a wrong. And because the market did very well for 15 years, everything came in. But the fact is, you have to always ask कि आप 5 करोड़ के घर में रह रहे हो, is it really worth that 5 crore? But yes, you're happy कि मेरा घर 5 करोड़ का है, मैंने 1.5 करोड़ का लिया था, तो you don't want to ask that question because you have an upside on the money that you made. But if you today go out, you have to ask that question: am I being treated right? Am I being given all the answers? Why do I have to follow up? आप आज देखो ना कि आप अगर गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, एयरटेल का आप सिम लेने जाओ तो वो आपको एक 300, वो आपसे फ्री में सिम कार्ड बेच रहे हैं. पहले तो सिम कार्ड बेचते थे, अब तो वो भी नहीं बेचते. बट वो आप पैन कार्ड लेके जाओ, दे वो बंदा आएगा, वो आपके साथ मैनेज करेगा, आपको कॉल भी आएगी, ये भी आएगा, वो भी आएगा. मतलब देयर इज सर्टेन लेवल ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस एंड consumer interface that is unfortunately, and as an industry guy I'm saying, is still missing. Is still missing. I mean, you have to follow up with the real estate guys. You have to. It's not a service orientation or a product orientation even today. They feel, the industry still feels कि हम आपको घर दे रहे हैं तो बहुत बड़ी बात कर रहे हैं. तो what they forget is, अगर आप पैसा नहीं दोगे तो उनका कोई वजूद नहीं है, उनकी कोई स्टैंडिंग नहीं है, which is amply proven. If people decide that tomorrow we don't want to pay, the companies will go down. And I've also advocated within the real estate when RERA was coming in. I was very anti the way RERA came in. Why? Because when you put a regulator, regulator is like a father and a mother. The father and mother's job is not to tell the kid every day what wrong he is doing. The job of the father and the mother in parenting is to tell them it is the right thing to do. They give indications, they give pointers to the kid how to go about doing things. What they have done in India in most of the cases have created these bodies जो सारा दिन बैठ के सिर्फ उनका काम ये है कि अच्छा आपने गलत किया, मैं आपको पनिश करूंगा. वो रेगुलेटर का काम वो नहीं होना चाहिए, वो तो कोर्ट का काम है. तो रेगुलेटर का काम है टू क्रिएट अ फ्रेमवर्क ऐसे कि इस तरीके से बिजनेस करना है. अब मैं आपको एक बड़ा छोटा सा एग्जांपल देता हूँ. आप बड़ी बार देखोगे, आप एड्स आती थी पेपर में और गुड़गांव की आ जाएगी, या मान लीजिए बैंगलोर की आ गई, तो पता चला वहां पर वो ऐसे मार्केटिंग के एड पे फ्लोरा एंड फौना और ट्रीज लगाए हुए जो कनाडा में उगते हैं। अब भाई कनाडा में जो रंग के फूल और पत्ते उगते हैं वो गुड़गांव में नहीं उगते, तो आप वो पहले तो वो रिप्रेजेंटेशन भी क्यों दे रहे हो? जस्ट टू मेक इट कलरफुल, विच इज रॉन्ग. Your representation on the product has to be absolutely bang on. जो आप पौधे लगा रहे हो उसी की रिप्रेजेंटेशन जो चाहे, इवन इफ इट इज अ CGI. बट आप जापान में कहीं कोई पौधा उग रहा है उसको लगाया हुआ है उस पे, कुछ कनाडा में उग रहा है वो लगाया हुआ है आपने उस पे. सो एंड पीपल लुक एट इट एंड दे वेरी हैप्पी कि नहीं ऐसा होगा. अरे बाबा वो ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता वो. तो लोग भी want to be enamored, people want to buy into a dream. The builders in the market understand that people can be made a fool. They are not going to use their brain, and the only part they will use their brain is only when it comes to मैंने पैसे कितने दिए, चेक कितना लगा, उसके बियॉन्ड उसके एस्थेटिक्स में नहीं जाते. तो when you're going to spend 1.5 crores, make it a point to do some due diligence. Okay, you can't do the due diligence because प्रोजेक्ट क्लियर हो गया, बैंक ने अप्रूव कर दिया, तो हम थंब रूल मानते हैं कि एवरीथिंग इज क्लियर, एग्रीड. देयर इज नो हार्म इन आस्किंग अ टफ क्वेश्चन. एंड आई हैव सीन सम टाइम पीपल हैव जस्ट बॉट इन अ फ्लैट जस्ट बिकॉज ब्रोकर से उनको वो 50,000 रुपए या 1 लाख रुपए की कमीशन बायबैक वापस मिल रही थी. अब अगर आप इन छोटी चीजों पर डिसीजन लोगे अपनी परचेज की, तो फिर आप फंसोगे भी. तो यू कांट ब्लेम एनीवन. So, people's buying patterns are also very different and very obviously. What I'm talking happened 10 years back. Things have evolved. People have become far more conscious. People are now asking those questions. It's not that people are not asking; they're asking very tough questions, and to a large extent, the market has improved. Uh, but the other part is uh, people always say कि जी consolidation हो रही industry में, and I say कि consolidation of an industry is not a good sign. Which means the new people are not able to come in. New people need to come in, and a free economy is when people come in and the demand and supply and market either accepts them for their work or rejects them for their work. But if consolidation happens, that means the market is slowing down, new players are not entering it, either the capability to enter has gone bad or things are very different. It's not a level playing field. It's not a level playing field. So बहुत सारी चीजें हैं मैम इसमें. But again I always say the tougher the questions the client asks, the more transparency he demands. You are already on the right step for getting those answers. I hope I was able to answer a little bit of it.
Yes, thank you. I think Prashanti is us.
Yes. Prashanti, please unmute yourself.
Hi, Mr. Harmeet, and hello, Nupurji. I'm actually in Chandigarh, and I was in the real estate market. But this is really interesting, even the insights from Gurgaon. And here, of course, the dynamics are different from what is there in Delhi. I was there in Delhi for many years earlier. And here again, the prices are creeping up, and there's no looking back. But what you also say makes a lot of sense, Mr. Chawla. So how does somebody like me who's looking for a home as an end user make of it when I go and see all these houses? There's the standalone houses here. They're not so much of a flat thing, and every year they become 50 lakhs more expensive, and obviously it's unrealistic. So as an expert, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, Prashant, thanks for putting that across to me. Fortunately, I have done enough in Chandigarh and Mohali over my career that I understand that market very well. The problem is within Chandigarh there are also different markets. So if you look at what you idly said as a standalone market, the good and the bad part about it is there is not much capability in Chandigarh to kind of come up with new housing. So, when you go into these single housing units, uh, there is the demand and supply thing. So, uh, unlike Mohali, which is abutting, as you know, Chandigarh, there was large tracts of land which got opened up 15 years back. So, there is a lot of supply there. And because of that supply and demand ecosystem, prices did move up in Mohali, but not to the extent. But in Chandigarh, the point is, which you rightly said, something which could be costing 50 lakhs today would be just all of a sudden sitting at about 80 lakhs or 90 lakhs. And as I said in the beginning of my talk, these single houses are on track of land. So the valuation primarily for it going up is because of the escalations in the cost of land. It has got nothing to do with the quality of the construction of the house or anything. You probably end up buying it and you would say, listen, I'll probably redo this house. If it's as we say in Hindi, koti hai, ya ground plus, मान लो 1, 2, 3 बना हुआ है. And I can bet my last dollar on the fact that if you went out into the market and you said, listen, I'm so and I want to pay you 1 crore fully in check, chances are it's not happening.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
So it kind of strengthens my point that I raised, that the fact of the matter is the escalation in the value is because of the movement of the cash component, and that can go into the land. If you were to go and buy an apartment for, let's say, 3,000 square foot, one of the high rises or something, the chances of a cash component being involved would be far, far less. At least with the builder, it might not even be there. But on a secondary market, because of the difference between the registry cost and the cost of the market, that difference is eventually going to be paid by you in cash. Nobody's going to take it in white. There are very few people who will say, listen, I will take it in white. So those are not, that's not the average of the thumb rule. That's contrary to your thumb rule in the market. And that's a very small percentage of people in the market who do that, because they might be needing a amount of white out money, or they might want to go into a capital gain and redeploy that money, or whatever be the reason. So the Chandigarh market, as you rightly said, is a very different market. The mindset is very different. But Chandigarh, mind you, from the product that you're talking about, is a very limited demand market, a limited supply market. So there is going to be a higher pressure from a supply and demand point of view for that rate going in, coupled with the fact what I said, that people want to secure their this thing. So they are asking for more money, and land costs have gone up. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Anyone has any questions? Okay, I would like to ask one thing. How do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
see future of India in real estate in next 1 year?
Ma'am, for me, the future of, as I said, the question that you asked is pretty broad
Yes.
oriented. I see the mountains still doing well. Houses in the mountains is offbeat locations, as long as there's connectivity and everything. I do see if good projects, sensible projects come in places like Goa doing very well, because there are senseless things also happening in Goa, where all of a sudden some villa, somebody wants to sell it at about 35 crores, 40 crores, independent. I mean, there are going to be obviously takers for it, but that's also slowing down. Bombay has been doing very well, but predominantly, as I said, everybody says it's doing well, and I say it's doing well, but why is it doing well is also important. But there is a slowness coming into the market. For me, the critical part is the next 5 months, how the Indian economy kind of moves, and more than that, how the global economy is going to move, because people tend to decouple the Indian economy and say that, the headwinds coming from Europe or the Middle East or America is not going to hit India. The fact of the matter is they are going to hit India very badly, because there are trading partners. We export, we import. So we are very aligned in the global economy. It's not the 2016 where you had a cash economy, because that's pretty much done and dusted. And that is part of the reason why you have so much of influx of money going into real estate, as I said, over the last 1 year. People want to secure their cash. So the next 5 months are very critical. How the RBI, in my opinion, would have probably gone more on the repo rate, but it was a 4-2 situation where they went 0.25. So in the last 3 months, if you pick up, it's about 60 basis point that they've taken up, 0.35 last time, 0.25 this time. They probably wanted to go more. How the inflation plays out, we're in the election year. And more than the election year, when I say 2024 is the general election, but you have 10 elections in states coming in this year. So how much of activity is really going to happen on ground in terms of business and economy, and more on big ticket news? So all these things have to be taken into account, because these things have a huge macro impact on the money market, on the business sentiments, on the sentiments of people. Though if you ask me, uh, and you are aware, in my discussions with you, people will probably take it from a negative perspective, but I take it from a point of view of being realistic about what's on the cards. In my opinion, the war in Europe is entering into a very challenging phase, which is only going to go worse, from my opinion. Uh, so is the Chinese problem. I have always believed that the American economy, while people think is going to go down, is a far more resilient, and it's going to do very well. Uh, I mean, that's it. I also see Middle East crisis coming in. So how these play out, to what extent these things play out over the next 6 months, will have a huge impact on our Indian economy and the way people are going about, putting in. So, and anyone who has taken a position in the Indian real estate market would want to, at some point in time over the next year, 2-3 years, somebody, if goes into a situation where he says, listen, I bought this land for so much, or I bought this flat for so much, and now I'm in a situation where I'm not making that kind of money, and let me liquidate some of my assets. And if they are not able to liquidate, and they go into the market at a lower cost, and that's when the market starts to fall. So I don't see market falling right now in India. I see markets getting into a situation where transactions are going to become difficult and slow. And then how things kind of shape up between now and 24 will be able to kind of say where the market goes. Very difficult to right now say that, by December of 2023, this is where we're going to sitting. But yes, I definitely see a far more challenging time coming up.
Wow. That's beautiful analysis of future, and really it opened our eyes to and we see future of India in different perspective. We were thinking that it is going to stabilize, but as you say, it will be a bit difficult. So we have to gear up for our future, and yes, we would definitely again call you and take advice how to go about in future also. So
Thank you so much, ma'am.
very
Thank you so much. I hope I was able to, kind of give justice to my being on the platform, and share whatever my 2 cents are on this
Yes.
subject. And again, thank you so much for having, and all the people who kind of logged in, for having the patience to hear me out. I appreciate that, and have a great weekend. And thank you to Alisha and Shabnam ji once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Harmit, and see you
Thank you,
soon
ma'am.
on this platform also, and in future also. And really, it was very enlightening session. Thank you everyone who participated, even on YouTube.